Dart Skill presents multiplication. In this video, we are going to learn a mental multiplication technique called break apart. And that's actually based on the distributive property. Of multiplication. The distributive property of multiplication tells us that if you want to multiply two numbers together, you can break down one of the numbers in any way you want and multiply each one of those pieces with the other number. Let me show you a few simple examples. Let's think about doing the multiplication 5 times 8. Well, you know the answer is 40, but let me show you how can the distributive property still be applied on this one. You could break up the 8 into, let's say, a 5 and a 3. And then multiply each one of these with the other number, that's 5. And then in the end, add the results up because you have a plus over here. So 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 5 is 15. And 25 plus 15 is indeed equal to 40. So this break apart method is indeed very useful to multiply numbers even beyond your known multiplication tables. For example, if you wanted to multiply, let's say 7 with 17, you know all the way up to 7 times 10, or let's say 7 times 12, you could easily break down the 17 into a 10 plus 7 and then multiply each one of the pieces with 7, the other number, and then add the results up. So you have 10 times 7, that's 70. 7 times 7, that's also known to you, 49. And 70 plus 49 is equal to 119. And then by using this technique, and also the fact that it's very easy to multiply numbers that end in 0, the combined knowledge actually lets you do several multiplication problems in your head. Let's see a few examples. Let's say you want to do 7 times 53. And there's no way you could write this down. So what do? Break down the 53 into a 50 plus a 3 and multiply each one of them with 7. Now 7 times 50 is nothing but 7 times 5, which is 35, with a 0 in the end. That makes it 350 plus 7 times 3 is 21. So this is equal to 371. Easily done, right? Let's try another one. How about 40 times 51? Would you imagine you could actually do this in your head in just about a few seconds? Break this down into a 50 plus a 1 and multiply each one of the two numbers with 40. And then 50 times 40 is nothing but 5 times 4, that's a 20, with 2 zeros in the end. That makes it 2000, plus 40 times 1 of course is 40, so the answer is 2040. Note that you could break down a number into any way you want to. It doesn't have to be a 5 plus a 3 for 8. It doesn't have to be a 10 plus a 7 for a 17. For example, on the 17, you could have split it up into a 20 minus 3. And you would multiply each one of them with 7, 20 and 3. And then because it's a 20 minus 3 in that case, you would subtract the answers and not add them. Let's see an example or two at work. Let's say you want to do a 4 times 79. Now instead of breaking the 79 up into a 70 and a 9, let's go for a 80 minus 1. That's also 79. And then multiply each one of these with 4. 80 times 4 and 1 times 4. 80 times 4 is nothing but 8 times 4, that's 32, with 1 0 in the end, 320, minus, because that's a minus over there, minus 4 times 1, that's 4. So this is equal to 316. Similarly, if you wanted to do 28 times 80, let's say, break apart the 28 into a 30 minus 2. and multiply 30 with 80 and 2 with 80. 30 times 80 is easier than it looks. 8 times 3 is 24 with 2 zeros, 2400, minus 2 times 8 is 16 with 1 zero in the end, 160. So the final answer is 2400 minus 100, that's 2300, minus 60, that's 2240. It's time for you to pick up your pen or your pencil and just go ahead and do some practice.